Hello everyone! I hope you're having a really good day. This is Gila Ross, and today I'm going to tell you the story of Nachum Ish Gamzu. Now, that's a really interesting name. Let me tell you the story of Nachum Ish Gamzu and why he was called Ish Gamzu. Many years ago, the Jews wanted to take a present to the emperor. And they sat and they had a meeting. And they said, you know what we're going to do? We're going to give the emperor a big box full of jewels and expensive things so that it will be a fabulous present for him. But they said, who should we choose to take this present to the emperor so that when the emperor sees it, he'll like the present and he will be kind to us? And they sat and they said, you know who should take it? Nachum Ish Gamzu. Now, Nachum Ish Gamzu was called Ish Gamzu because whatever happened, he always said, this too is for the good. Gamzu Latova. Because he realized that Hashem loves us so much that everything that God does is for the good. So they chose Nachum to take the present, and he says, okay, I'll do it. So he packed up the box of jewels and he started the journey. And as it was getting late, he realized it's a long way from the emperor. I better find somewhere to sleep tonight so that tomorrow I can continue my journey and I won't be too tired when I come to the emperor. So he found an inn and he knocked on the door and he said, can I stay here tonight? And the innkeeper looked at him and he said, of course you can stay here tonight. And he said to him, where are you going? And Nachum said to him, I am going to take a present to the emperor. And the innkeeper looked at Nachum Ish Gamzu. And he looked at the treasure box he was holding. And he thought to himself, And he said, of course I have a room for you. And he showed him to his room. And he watched. And later, when Nachum Ish Gamzu was fast asleep, the emperor, do you know what he did? He snuck into the room. He took the box, the treasure box that was filled with so many jewels. He opened it up. He looked at it and he said, now I'm going to be rich. And he emptied all the jewels into his house. And he said, yay. But then he realized, tomorrow morning, when Nachum Ish Gamzu wakes up, he's going to carry his box and he's going to realize there's nothing in it. It doesn't weigh very much. What should I do? So he had a brilliant idea. He went outside and he started putting dirt and mud in the box. And he picked it up and he said, nope, it's still too light. And he put a bit more mud and dirt into the box and he picked it up. And now it weighed the same amount as it did. And he thought, Nachum Ish Gamzu is never going to guess what I did. And he snuck ever so quietly into Nachum Ish Gamzu's room, put the treasure chest just where he found it and walked out. And Nachum Ish Gamzu slept the whole way through this. And in the morning he woke up, he washed his hands, he prayed, and he went on his way with the treasure box. And he got very close to the emperor's palace, and the emperor's guard said to him, what are you doing here? And he says, I came to bring a present to the emperor. And the guard says, the emperor loves presents. We'll come with you. We'll escort you to the palace. And they went with Nachum Ish Gamzu and they escorted him to the palace. And they knocked on the gate of the emperor's room. And the emperor said, come inside. And Nachum Ish Gamzu said to the emperor, here is a present from the Jews. And the emperor said to his servants, "Open up the box." And they opened up the box. And the emperor saw that inside the box was mud. And he looked at Nachamesh Gamzu, and his face, first it turned red, then it turned purple, and then it turned back red again. And he was so angry, he said, Are you trying to make fun of me? Bringing mud to the emperor? And suddenly, Nachamesh Gamzu thought in his mind, he said, Gamzu Latova, this too is for the good. Hashem loves us and everything he does is for the good. But he was just quiet. And one of the emperor's soldiers stepped forward and he said, "Hey, I know what this is. The Jews, their forefather Avraham, he once took mud and he threw it at the enemies, and it was a special mud, and it turned into swords, and it helped Abraham defeat the enemies. This must be the same special dirt." And the emperor looked, and his face turned back to a normal color again, and he says, "Really? Let's try it out," he said. "But we're going to take this man," and he pointed to Nachamesh Gamzu, "and we're going to put him in jail overnight. Because if this is regular dirt, then we'll let him go. But if it's not regular dirt, if it is regular dirt, then he is going to get a big punishment." And they took Nachamesh Gamzu, and Nachamesh Gamzu thought in his head, "Gamzu Latova, this too is for the good. Hashem loves us, and everything Hashem does is for the good." And meanwhile, the emperor ordered his other soldiers, and he said, "I have part of my army have an enemy that they have been trying to fight for so long, but the enemy is so strong they've never managed. Take this box of special dirt and ask them to try it out and see whether it is just regular dirt or whether it is the special dirt like Abraham used to defeat his enemies." So they did that, and the soldiers went on their horses ever so quickly to the army, and they said, "The emperor wants you to try out this dirt." And the soldiers, they laughed. They said, "We've been trying with our best soldiers and our best weapons, and we haven't, and now you want us to throw dirt at them?" And they said, the soldiers that the emperor had sent said, "Yes, just try it out." And they took the soldiers and the army, they took this special dirt and they started to throw it at the emperor's enemies. And the emperor's enemies, they saw that they were throwing dirt at them and they started to laugh. But then they stopped laughing because you'll never guess what happened. The dirt turned into swords and into arrows. And the enemies had to run as fast as they could away because there was no way they could win against this. And finally, the emperor was able to defeat his enemies that he couldn't because of this special gift that Nachamesh Gamzu had brought him. And when the emperor heard, he brought Nachamesh Gamzu, he took him out of prison and he brought him in, and he said to him, "Wow, you have bought the best present ever." Because he said, "Because I have loads of jewels and loads of money, but this was the one thing I couldn't have, I didn't have." And Nachamesh Gamzu knew that what he had said all along, Gamzu Latova, he saw that Hashem loved the Jews so much, he loves us all so much, that everything he does is for the good. And that's why Nachamesh Gamzu was called Nachamesh Gamzu, because everything that happened to him, he always remembered that Hashem loves us and everything he does is for the good.